Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Email Marketing 101, brought to you by AS Digital. Today's webinar is presented by Alana Ward. Alana is the email marketing strategist here at AS Digital, so you're in great hands. A few housekeeping things. Just keep in note that while your microphones are set to mute, you can post comments or questions you might have throughout the webinar in the chat window, and Alana will address them at the end of the webinar. Okay, so thanks everybody, and now I'll hand over to Alana to begin Email Marketing 101. Enjoy.
Thanks, James. Thanks everyone for joining us today. A little bit about myself. I've been working with AS Digital for the past 6 years, working quite closely with restaurants, with both of our ResPack and our bookarestaurant.com product.
Started working closely with email marketing pretty much with our bookarestaurant.com product, and sort of fell in love with email marketing and wanted to learn everything about it. And you should see the number of newsletters I've signed up to. So I'm now the email marketing strategist here at AS Digital, so working with restaurants, working with our bookarestaurant.com team, also doing a lot of the email marketing strategy with the business as well, so for all of our products. So today the presentation is just going to be on the basics of email marketing. So email is not a new technology. It's been in the public domain since the 90s. Everyone's very familiar with it. People have a lot of trust with email. Their inbox is their own space, and they can choose who they give access to come into that space. So one of the things like consumers love the email channel is because of the control that they have over email. So they can control like when or even if they're going to open an email. They can control when they read their emails. So, some people are reading emails once a day or once a week. You've got people reading them all day, like out and about on the run. And so the reason that the marketers love email is because it's so quick to get a message out. So instantaneously you can have a message to the database like in their inbox. It's targeted. You can target who you want to send the messages to. You can segment your database based on any information that you've got on them. It's all measurable. There's so much tracking in email, so it's a great way to get proper statistics on the advertising, unlike traditional advertising, which is a little bit harder to measure that sort of advertising. It's very shareable. So email, as you'll know, you'll forward on emails. Good things when you see them come into your inbox, you forward them on to all your friends. Marketers love that stuff. And of course it's very cost effective. It's nice and cheap. So restaurants love email because it's a great way to keep up the conversation with your database. You've got that constant contact with people, which is what keeps them loyal to your brand, to your venue. The next time that they're thinking about dining out, because you've had that sort of constant contact with them, they've got you top of mind when they're making that decision. So when you jump into email marketing, one of the first things is to set a plan. So plan out what your email marketing strategy is going to be. So you might have various different objectives for your email marketing. You might want to just grow the number of people on your list, more people to talk to. You might want to increase the number of reservations that come through the venue. You might be wanting to raise the profile of somebody within the business, whether it's the owner or sommelier, the chef. You might also be wanting to sell produce or cookbooks or something. So working out what your objective is, like what you want to get out of email marketing, is a great way then to be able to measure the success of your email marketing at the end. So when doing your plan as well, it's great to work out what your style is going to be. So, what sort of personality you're going to include in with your email marketing. So it's good to keep it sort of light, conversational, to keep it a bit fun. A lot of people respond to that, and they'll more likely open your emails if they sort of know what to expect. Goes on to my next point is to be keeping consistent. So using the same sort of voice every time, being consistent with the design, the look and feel of your emails is very important, and also being consistent as to how frequently you're sending. It might be the same time every single month, same time of day that you send it. I get an email every Tuesday at 11 a.m., which is the Gourmet Traveller newsletter, and I know that it's coming like every Tuesday at 11 a.m. and I expect that, and I look forward to receiving that. So that's one really important thing when you're putting together a regular email like a newsletter or something. So we'll talk a little bit about permission-based marketing. So this term is generally used for email marketing, but it's also sort of creeping into other digital areas and online sort of things as well. So the concept behind it is that a person gives their consent to receive promotional messages from you. So they're opting in to hear from you pretty much. So whether it's through like an online form on your website, it might be through online bookings like on bookarestaurant.com. We've got little tick boxes to opt into subscriber databases. Whether they're handing over business cards to actually sign up to the database there. And with permission-based marketing, there's a whole heap of laws in every country. In Australia, we've got the Spam Act. So the Spam Act covers all this sort of consent and opting in. And it also goes through the whole unsubscribe. So there's rules and laws about if somebody requests to come off your database, so they've chosen to unsubscribe, like how quickly you've got to react to that. And when we're talking about unsubscribes, the best practices are to, of course, include a link in every single email or some sort of way for somebody to unsubscribe if they want to. It's best to keep it as simple a process as you can, not hiding the link or anything, like using the word unsubscribe so people can go and they can actually see that. There's a lot of people a bit frightened of unsubscribes and think that unsubscribe's a bad thing, but one of the positives to look at with the whole unsubscribe process is that you don't really want to have people on your database that don't want to hear from you. If you're sending them things and they're just not even reading them or deleting them, you don't want to get into that sort of cycle there. So always make it nice and easy with the unsubscribe for them to come off. So we talk about how you actually send an email. You can do this through what's called an email service provider or like email platform. So these platforms, these services allow you to send emails, to hold all of your subscribers. You can create templates through the platforms, do all your testing. You can, it handles all the unsubscribe process, does all the tracking and reporting. And there's a whole heap of them that are available out there. A lot of them have the same sort of features. And it's up to you which one you choose to go with. They all have different pricing, and some are easier to use than others. All right, so we'll have a look now at what actually makes up an email. So when the email first arrives in the inbox, there's certain things that are key for the receiver to look at, and they include the sender name and sender email address and the subject line. So if we're talking about consent, people are signing up to receive messages from somebody, a business or a brand, and when it comes into their inbox, they're expecting to see that person's name, and then that'll trigger, yes, that's somebody I want to hear from. So it's very important to keep your brand in the sender name, and if you can, the email address is recognizable as well. The subject line, The whole heap of best practices for what you should be doing with your subject lines, like the number of characters. They're saying that ideally 40 characters is recommended if you can. That's quite short, much shorter than like a tweet, which we all know is very hard to keep down to 140 characters. But, you know, something that's short, like succinct, gets someone interested in opening your email. They used to say that spam filters were a big factor with subject lines. There are certain words that you can't use in a subject line. You know, these sort of rules are changing constantly, and they're a lot more relaxed. So words like free or exclamation marks that used to, you know, get stuck in spam filters, they're not so much. There's not much happening these days. There's one other thing that makes up the decision-making process for somebody to open your email. Because in some email clients, they show what's called a pre-header. So things like Gmail, you'll see on lots of smartphones, there's a section now where you can actually customize this pre-header. So it's another bit of information about the email, you know, that might help somebody choose to open up your email. So email platforms now allow you to customize the pre-headers. So just one more thing to think about when you're setting up your email. So if we move down into the email itself, we've got this top section here, which we call the header. So the header should include your brand, your logo, so you're recognized. Include some links back to your website. You know, you might have things like view online, you might have online booking buttons, that sort of stuff to book the restaurants. And then in the body of the email, this is where all your content goes. So in this case, we've got a newsletter here, so we'll have all articles for our newsletter. And then it's a good idea for your content to include a mix of both text and images, so that it can be read across all different devices, you know, when people have images turned off. And then the footer section down the bottom here, we've got some different links. We might have our social share links there, so if people follow you on all your different social media channels. This is where the information about the business can go, whether you've got your phone number, you might have the address in there, unsubscribe, update preferences, all of that goes into the footer of the email. All right, so mobile email. So mobile devices, tablets, smartphones, they're taking over the world. There's some crazy statistic that says that on average a household has about 8 or 9 different devices, mobile devices that is. So everywhere you look there's mobile going on. And I'll show you this picture here. I love this picture. So this is 2 different times of when the Pope announcement was made. So you can see back in 2005, everyone's there. There's like one guy in the bottom right-hand corner that has a phone. He's, I don't know, taking a photo. But then flip 8 years later, at 2013, at the next Pope announcement, and all you can see is just a sea of phones and tablets, everyone recording the moment there. So it gives you a bit of a show of, you know, how much has changed and how much mobile is sort of taking over our lives. So they say that about 40% of all emails are now being opened and read on a mobile device. So this for marketers is a trigger that we need to be thinking about mobile whenever we're designing, like whatever messages, like how easy it is to use. Like if you have a call to action in your email that, you know, has them go through to a website, is that website now mobile optimized? So we've got to be thinking more about mobile. So here's an example of, these are emails from Expedia. So on the left-hand side, we've got their email, and this is not designed with responsive mobile in mind. So you can see on the mobile phone it looks exactly the same as what it does on the desktop version. So text is quite small. The user would have to sort of zoom in to be able to read it. It's a bit hard to use. I don't know if they'd be able to click on any of the links very easily in the device. But then what they did is they redesigned the email, so they've simplified the desktop view, and they've made the email responsive. So what that means is when it goes onto the mobile phone, some of the information gets larger, so text gets larger. You can see that the button is larger on there as well. They've removed some of the menu options from the top, gotten rid of some of the links at the very top. So it's only the key information of what you need from the actual email for the person that's on their mobile device. All right, so that takes us to our next point, which is whenever you're about to send an email, you need to test it. You've got to make sure that it looks right on all different email clients, all different devices. There are so many different variations of what people are using, and you want your emails to look great on every single one of those devices. So you need to test, and test. So in days gone past, marketers used to set up email addresses through all the different email clients that have Hotmail accounts and Yahoo accounts. They would have different devices, but these days it's a lot easier to actually test. Next slide. So there's lots of different tools available. So there's an online service, as an example here on the screen, of where you can send your email off to this service, and they'll actually go through and test it against all the different email clients, all different versions of devices, to make sure that your email is rendering correctly on all of the different channels, and make sure that your email looks the way you want it to look. So it's much easier these days to do testing, which is a very important part of email marketing. So after you've hit send, there's a whole heap of reporting that you can do with email marketing. So we'll go through some of the statistics and what they actually mean. So the open rate, there's two different types of open rates, and different email platforms will give you different statistics here. There's the overall open rate. So this is shown as a percentage that tells you how many times an email has actually been opened. So if I open an email 7 or 8 times, it'll count me as opening it 7 or 8 times. So sometimes that overall open rate can be over 100% because everybody's opened it more times than once, or you might have one crazy person that's opened 100 times or sent it on to 100 people, and every time they open it gets counted as well. And then the other type of open rate is unique opens. So that'll only count if the subscriber opens it just once. So even if I open it 7 times, I only get counted as opening it once. So those are the open rates. Those unique open rates is pretty much the ones that you'll see as like averages. When they talk about industry averages of open rates, it's usually the unique open rate. And then we've got the click-through rate. So the click-through rate is a percentage. So out of everybody that was sent the email, it'll tell you what percentage of links inside your email have been clicked. So in your email, you might have links back to your website, if you're hosting an article there, or, of course, through to online bookings, or just back to your homepage. So it tracks all of those and gives you a percentage. We've also got this other one, which is called click-to-open rate. So this will only give you the percentage against those that have actually opened the email. So, you can pretty much say of those that open my email, how many have clicked through the links in the email. You can also track forward. So if you've got forward to a friend link inside your email, it'll track how many times somebody's forwarding through that functionality there. And then we've got the deliverable rate. So let's say I send an email to 1,000 people, but only 900 of them have reached the inboxes. So, they haven't been stopped by ISPs or bounced or anything. So that would give me a 90% deliverability rate. So it's always shown as a percentage as well. And of course it goes hand in hand with the bounce rate. So in that example there, 10% of my emails bounced. And there's 2 different types of bounces. We've got hard bounces and soft bounces. So a hard bounce is one that, maybe the domain name in the email address is incorrect, or the person no longer has that email address, so maybe they left the business, that sort of stuff. So those hard bounces will never get through ever again. And then we've got soft bounces. So soft bounces happen when you might have full inboxes, or there's something, the email server's not receiving emails at that time. So those soft bounces means you could probably email again in the future, but this particular email didn't get through to them. So let's talk about social a little bit. So email is fundamentally a social thing. So it goes hand in hand with social media channels, with like music sharing. So it all makes up. So email is essentially a very social thing. So we can send information on to other people, it gets shared, it becomes viral. So email is all part of that same family. So you can see in this email example here, they've got a send to a friend link up the top there. So you can click that, fill in the little form, and then it'll send a copy of the email on to your friend. So it's a great way of sharing that information, and it's very easy to find in this particular this layout here. If we're talking about social media, then you'll see that it's very easy to integrate social media if you're using social media channels as well in the business. So this particular email here, we've got all of our links to our social media pages. So if you've got a Facebook account, Instagram account, Twitter account, you can include those in every single one of your emails to get people to follow you on those channels, and so you can have the conversation with them through there as well. You can run social specific campaigns, so you might just want to send out one email to promote that social channel. So you set up a new Twitter account or Instagram account and you want some followers, you can use your email subscriber base to promote through there. And then this is pretty cool. We've got the ability now to be able to share specific content inside an email out to somebody's social network. So if you've got a newsletter, or you might have a promotion, something inside your email, you could put a little share button on that content, and that person can then share just that bit of information directly onto Facebook or to Twitter. So a lot of the email platforms have this capability now where you can include that into your email templates. All right, so I think we've covered like some of the basics of email marketing. There's a whole heap more that we could cover. I could talk for hours on this sort of stuff. We're planning on doing a lot more presentations on more advanced stuff, so keep an eye out for that sort of stuff. We can go through any questions now if you like. Feel free to pop them into the chat window and we can go through them. Here we go. Here's a question from James. So James is asking us, how do we actually make the emails mobile optimized? So we talked about the different sort of design and the concept of mobile optimization, but the way that we make the emails responsive is we need to add in this extra code into the email template itself. And what it does, it says when we have different screen sizes, so when the email gets sent and it detects what screen size the email is opening up on, and then what it does, it'll render the email to move things around or make the font larger or remove some of the pictures. So we put it all into it's called the CSS, we put it all into the CSS code of the email, and then that's how it actually moves stuff around. It's pretty clever, a bit tricky. So another question here about charging advertising within an email. So a lot of big companies will do this. They call them like soulless campaigns, where they'll actually sell for the use of their email database. So one way, let's say, I know Footy Tips website, they do this. So you can pay to send out a message to their database, promoting something that you're doing to the Footy Tips subscriber base. And and I think it's quite effective. A lot of people do this type of advertising. You do need to be very upfront with your subscribers that they may be receiving information from third parties, or having promotions included, and a lot of people will have like a preference. So you might have a subscriber preference where you might only hear information from the business that you're actually subscribing to, and then you might have a second tick box in those subscriber preferences to say, yeah, I'm also happy to hear from third parties. So it's not a bad thing. I just think you need to be transparent, and also when you're sending the emails, put a little blurb in there to say, here's a message from such and such, and then have their, whatever they're promoting, their advertisement in there. It's a really great question. We get approached a lot from Book a Restaurant, because of course Book a Restaurant, we've got a very large subscriber database that we send information to, that about all the restaurants that work with Book a Restaurant. It's not something that we've gone down, mainly because that we haven't allowed people to opt in or opt out of that particular option at this point. But yeah, it might be something that we look at, and you'll see it in a lot of places. All right, well, thank you everyone. Thanks everyone for joining us. We've recorded this, so we'll see how it goes. I'll see if I can get it sent out to everybody, and then you can have a record of it, and I'll send out the slides as well, so you can just run back through those if you need to. But hopefully we can get in touch soon, and we'll be doing some more of these short webinars, bits of information, and let us know if there's certain things that you want us to cover in future ones, because it's a great way for us to be able to talk to you guys and share a bit of information about what we're doing, and of course give you a bit of learning as well. But I'll sign off now, and we'll talk to you all very soon. Thank you.